What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my studio. Today's video is going to be all about making a brand new piece. So I'm going to be walking you through how I started, what my thought process is when I'm going through it, when I'm working on it, and how it ends up being. It's a super honest look into like art process and my art process and my brain in general. I go through a lot of struggles with this new piece that we're going to work on, and I work through them somehow. So yeah, I hope you will join me on this fun little journey, and let's start the video.
The approach.
I am wearing the same shirt as I was in the last video because it's the same day. Basically, I'm not planning anything out ahead of time when I go to start the piece. The only thing that I'm planning on is I pick a black and white photo of the face and a black and white photo of the hands if I want hands. And then I just go for it. And so these are gonna be pretty spontaneous, a little looser with the paint handling on a lot of it. You know, fun textures, drips. This one's got a lot of like big folky florals and simple hair, but a lot of kind of movement and fun. This one, you can kind of see there's a lot of texture, a lot of drips, and a lot of really fun stuff going on. Yeah, I just picked the face and the hands, and then I kind of like pick the color palette, and then I just kind of go from there. So let's get that area over there cleaned up and get started on a new thing.
Day one.
So I have here a canvas, a 24 by 36 canvas, and I have here two black and white photos of some girls. Now I used Midjourney to make these girls. I'm using AI as a tool, not as a fucking end-all be-all, okay? So sue me. I used to photograph all of my models myself, and then I also used to photograph myself to do self-portraits. But now when I live in such a remote area, I just find that like getting AI girls printed out in black and white is a fine place to start. It's easier than combing through catalogs. Pair with the girls, I printed out some hands. I have very loose concepts of what I want to do with these. She is going to end up being like a female version of the Magician tarot card. And this other girl, she's just going to be doing something else. Like she's kind of blissed out. She's probably going to have some sort of rainbowy stuff going on. Sky gazing. Not exactly sure how I'm going to go with it, but let's see what kind of colors we want to use. I have here all of my swatches. And I use interior latex paint because the colors are good. The colors are opaque and you can water them down and you can do whatever you want with them. It's a nice way for me to sort of pick out a few different colors and be like, do I like how that vibrates before I kind of apply them and figure out how to work with them on the canvas. The reason that I started doing that is because we're building a house. And if you hear any, they're building the house right now. So I've been like interior designer mode and picking out like actual physical like pieces of, you know, metal or pieces of tile or pieces of wood, and you kind of get to look at those things in a real physical way, so you kind of can get a sense of what it's really going to look and feel like when the whole thing is kind of complete and finished, and can't wait to move in. But the swatches are really, really good for that. And so let's go through and see what kind of colors we'd like to use. Actually, the first thing you want to do before anything else happens is you want to spray these with like a little spray varnish, because I think you can probably paint on them and not have the ink bleed, but I don't like to take chances, so I just like to give it a spray of spray varnish, let it dry, and then cut her out and paste her on the thing. We want to do sort of the traditional The Magician color palette. Probably slap it with this really crazy kind of, it's called turmeric yellow. We're gonna have vines that come around with some greenish leaves. The red and orange type of a cloak. There's the red. And I want to introduce some pink And it's some type of a blue, although I'm not sure which blue I want to try yet. Yes, so I'm thinking that this is the color palette, and it's looking more saturated on camera than it actually is in real life. They're really nice tones, much more muted than they're appearing. We're gonna cut and paste. So here I am just cutting out the girl for the magician and measuring and making sure that she is placed kind of appropriately on the canvas, as well as positioning the hands. And now, because I know that I want to paint in a cloak after that, I'm sort of removing the arm parts and making registration marks so I can just glue the hand parts onto the canvas and not the whole arm. But I kind of made a little drawing of where the arms would go. And then this is the head and the body part. Really takes a long time to glue, but you'll see that I have like a cardboard glue mat thing set up, and to get all of the glue on there, you sort of have to go back over it like 20 or 30 times to just make sure everything's wet when you go and paste it. And then on the bottom of where the figure is attaching to the canvas, you'll see like those registration marks that I sort of made so that I know where to place the piece. And now just smoothing it right out, smoothing it real good. Just make sure there's no bubbles on there, and that's pretty much her. She's on there. That was sort of challenging. I've definitely glued down bigger pieces than that before, but started to kind of stick on some stuff. It's just challenging to like glue the entire surface and it still all stay wet everywhere, but it's on there. This just regular school glue, like surprisingly, like it never, you would have to scrub the canvas in order to get the glue to come off. It's a great product. So it's about 2 o'clock, which means I basically have like 1 more hour to work in here because it's January and it gets dark really early around here, and there are no street lights because I live in the middle of nowhere. So I have to walk my dog at 3:15. Yeah, I have an hour. So what I did is on my phone I took a photo of this piece like when the stuff wasn't glued on, to sort of, because this one's a bit awkward, like the placement of the the placement of the hands is not actually in alignment with how her body is sort of naturally sort of posed. So sort of mocked up like what would it look like if I added that, and I think it's gonna be all good. We're gonna try and paint in the rest of the cloak. Yes. So here I am just basically beginning to sketch out where I want the arm to go, what kind of like angle does the shoulder come up at. It's really kind of a lot of guesswork, but it's more important for it to look convincing rather than actually real. So, because it's all just gonna get painted anyways. A little bit challenging, but a necessary step. So now that I have my outline, I'm going in with just some regular black acrylic paint to sort of fill in that figure area, so to speak. I don't know what I thought I was doing at first. I think I was wanting to have her have more like of a witchy bell sleeve or something like that. So I sort of created that shape, and then later sort of started to realize that I didn't like that. But anyways, the black paint is mostly just to have a base to then paint over that's like a similar base type of color to the black and white that the actual figure is, and it also makes like a nice like base texture. Yeah, so this was kind of confusing because I thought that I was gonna have like a little sleeve that comes down, and it just wasn't looking right at all. So I had to like paint back over it white, and then this, I had to like sort of shape her back through with like the white paint. And the magician in the, now I'm wondering if like her arms look too short. The magician in the tarot has like a drape that comes down, so that could probably solve the problem. I don't know, but it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. So after standing back and critiquing it for a couple minutes, I was just really not stoked about how it was coming out. So I decided to sketch back in the cloak shape and just add the traditional type cloak thing of the real traditional tarot magician man. And at that point it was looking a whole hell of a lot better, so I just decided to start going in with the color. Why not?
It's like a rosy blush pink for the sleeves and sort of the main dress costume thingy, and then I started with the brickish, bright, dark red for the cloak. I like the pink instead of the white just because we don't gotta have white in our paintings. So then I came back and kind of added in some extra size and dimension to the cloak part, and then added some extra kind of color, texture dimension to the dress part, starting with the red color, and then I kind of went back over it with an orange, like a lighter orange color, to sort of mute the red a bit, because it, you know, it's still an underpainting, honestly, at this point.
Well, I guess this is how she's looking after day one. I think it's pretty cool. I think I like it. I like what's going on. I'm about to go walk my dog and then cook some steak, have a nice time. Tomorrow's gonna be the background, 100%. Crazy yellow. And flowers probably. So that's gonna be just absolutely beautiful, and we're gonna have a super fun time with that tomorrow, because the background is like the funnest part to me, because you get to be really super expressive and wild. The only thing I'm not so sure about is where am I gonna put all of her like tools that she has. I mean, there's a desk with the tools of the trade, right? You've got your pentacle, your cup, your sword, your wand, but I'm gonna make her for my tarot, and I'm gonna have different suits than that, but I don't know what they are yet. The message that I've been sort of getting from spirit, the cosmic, whatever, beyond, is that you make the art, and that's how you figure out what the suits are. So maybe they're gonna end up being whatever the hell is in this picture. Maybe we'll make it kind of traditional, but we'll make it funky. We'll make it strange somehow. I'm always a little intimidated to do the face and the hands, because if you mess up, it sucks pretty badly. But it's looking more like a magician cloak now, and I'm really happy with it. So, cool. See you guys tomorrow.
Day 2.
Hello, welcome to day 2 of this piece. We're gonna do the background.
So for the background, I decided to go in first with like a lighter yellow color, spraying with a spray bottle in places, being very gestural with my brush strokes, and then going back over again with a spray bottle and gestural brush strokes with sort of the darker yellow. I've been really enjoying to do backgrounds like this. It just like adds a lot of character, texture, drips, fun stuff to look at.
I'm at a little bit of a crossroads with this one because I came in and whoa, falling over, added in some purple into the cloak. And now I'm like, oh, I could paint the hair purple, but I'm kind of thinking that I don't want it to look so much like this one. I mean, that one looks amazing, but I wanted it to sort of be different. Maybe I should do the flowers first. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
And that's just what I did, folks. I've never really done roses before, but I decided to start with a dark burgundy color and then go over it with a red color, the same as I used for the cloak, in kind of like a folky, flowery motion. I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but that's kind of the beauty of this type of thing. A lot of the times when I'm painting something I haven't done before, I just sort of say, okay, pretend you can paint a flower and then paint it. And it usually works out okay. Then I just went right into the table, the magician's table. I decided to go with something with real funky legs, funky shapes, starting with like a dark burgundy, adding in the red color, and then kind of highlighting it with like a lighter orange. Progress, not perfection, and it should look kind of funky and folky because that's just what it's all about. Then I just went right in and did the bottom flowers for that level. So I thought that was looking pretty cool and interesting, and then I just decided to go right in and start doing the stems for bottom part. These were really fun because you don't really have to think too hard about it, and you don't have to be very, I don't know, good at it. It's just sort of gestural and, you know, funky folky as well. Yeah, the same kind of thing. Imagine you can paint some stems and some leaves and then paint it. Realism is not the goal. And then I went basically in and did the same thing for the top vine leaf things. I went over it again with like a slightly lighter color, which I didn't film, but it was good for some extra dimension. Then I'm going right into painting the hair, and I'm going in with a dark burgundy color. The way I'm painting it is I'm sort of painting to the contours of how the actual hair looked, so it kind of gives a little bit of texture, very super subtle texture, but also it gives some kind of guide points to where I can then add highlights, which I did in a lighter burgundy color.
Well, it is about 2:30 on day 2, and again, I gotta go walk the dog at 3, so I'm liking how this is turning out. I added this kind of like weird circular table thing with these like funky table legs. I actually like saw a really cool table on the internet and I painted it. So that table is like $2,000, so wish I could get it, but I can't. And then I've done all of these flowers. I've kind of made these foliage parts like a two-tone green, which is pretty nice. Love how I did the flowers. I've never really done like roses kind of like this before, but it's looking really cool. I'm happy with how sort of the cloak has turned out. I think when I came back in and added like this sort of really dark burgundy color that's in the hair into the cloak, it was like much better than that weird purple. So this is really looking more like how I would imagine it. I think I've like sort of painted over the hair with this color, and then I'm kind of coming in with like a slightly lighter burgundy color for some highlights. I'm probably gonna go pretty minimal on that, and then yeah, I'm really at the point where I have to figure out what's gonna go on the table and what's gonna go in her hand. And I'm thinking, because I want to bring some blue into the composition to sort of set it off a little bit, there's gonna be a paintbrush dripping with blue paint, and maybe down here some other items, and maybe some blue splatter, and maybe we'll bring in blue in like the shadows, like the dark shadows of like the hair and the flowers and stuff like that. We're gonna bring in the blue, and I'm not exactly sure how, but I do think I want her to have a paintbrush because she can be like the magician of creativity, right? Yes, that's the vibe. Tomorrow I'm probably gonna have to tackle the face and the hands, and then she'll be almost done, which, yeah, the face and the hands is always sort of the hardest because I feel like I have to like concentrate and not fuck it up, but so far I haven't really fucked anything up. I always have this like imposter syndrome about painting, and this feeling of like I don't want to show my process because like there's points where it just looks so bad to me. And then I'm also afraid that like I'm not good at painting and I'm gonna fuck it up, and that like little fear kind of comes through every single time. So it's really good if I can like do a lot of it, feel really confident about like a majority of the composition, and then like, you know, pick a day that tomorrow's gonna be the day that I do like the face and the hands. I'll sort of meditate on the fact that I can do it tonight, and then tomorrow I'll just be like, let's fucking do this. Let's do the face and hands, man. Can't wait to see how it finishes. Bye.
Day 3. Well, the last couple of days it was freaking hot, and now, well, you can't see it, but we got some snow. It's so beautiful. Yeah, so it is really cold. It's like 35 degrees. I'm gonna try and get in the studio and warm it up a little bit, and we're gonna see what I can do. Yeah, so I'm in the studio. It's very cold in here. I've got my little space heater chugging away
hopefully we'll get this place heated up and I can start on this, on the skin on this one, this gal.
So with the skin tone, I like to start by going in with the darkest color first and then following up with the lighter colors as it kind of goes. That way I can kind of follow the contours of how the face is sort of shaped. I'm not a realist painter, obviously, and I like to use crazy colors. This isn't regular skin tone color, but again, it's gonna end up looking not actually like the actual face underneath of it, but more of like it's more of like a guideline and a paint by numbers thing. With this too, I'm sort of doing like a paint by numbers style thing to start with, and then later what I do is I come back through and kind of blend the different sort of levels together with fresher, wetter paint of each color. I had initially picked like these really intense colors, and I kind of was actually going with the actual light and shadow that was sort of pictured on the picture, but it was coming out like way too shadowy looking on one side and way too bright on the other. It just wasn't the vibe for me, but you know, I decided to finish just painting the face the way I was originally doing it and then go in and change it if I wanted to. Yup, and this was kind of how it was looking. It looked super weird to me. Yeah, I'm gonna change that.
Ooh, I've been painting for a couple of hours now, and I'm getting there with the face. There's things about it that I'm not quite liking. Things about the neck I'm not quite liking. I think I need to go in and blend it a little bit more. Blend out this kind of like yellowy pinky thing and maybe just change it a bit, but I don't know. It's coming along. Also, the lips are not done. If you were to ignore the lips, it looks pretty alright.
I ended up going in and mostly fixing it, kind of, but I just didn't record that part. It took forever, and it was mostly better, but I still wasn't super happy with it.
I have labored and put blood, sweat, and tears into this face, and I'm ready to move the fuck on from it. So, well, the other day I had written down the ideas about what I wanted for the tools of the magicianal trade. One being the paintbrush in the hand. So maybe we'll do that. You know, maybe we'll just move on from the figure and leave her for now. We're gonna move on and focus on that and maybe some decoration. Gold accents. Great.
So I started with the gold accents, which was pretty fun. Just adding a necklace, like an earring, and doing like a belt thingy with a sun motif and an infinity symbol motif. Pretty cool. And then I also decided to go in and add some like differentness to the hair, some flyaway little pieces of hair to her face, which made it look really good. Then in kind of the shadowy most parts, or also edge parts, I went in and added a darker blue and also a lighter blue for a fun blue effect. Never forget, Wayne Thiebaud taught us that shadows don't have to actually be just a darker value.
She's really starting to look more like how I would want her now that I've added sort of the gold jewelry, these little blue accents and pops that are kind of really subtle but fun additions. The face is just about right now, I think. Yeah, I also added sort of these like little flyaway pieces of hair, and definitely looking more like how I was picturing it. So I think now I'm gonna try and do that big paintbrush magic wand.
So I sketched out sort of the paintbrush shape and then started going in with pink paint. I'm not gonna go too much into how I did this because, spoiler alert, I didn't actually keep this, but it was really fun and creative to figure out how to paint it, and it did come out looking cool. Then I went in and started painting some other things that, spoiler alert again, I didn't end up keeping, but what's the point of sharing these things if I didn't end up keeping them in the piece? I think the point is that we're allowed to change our mind, make mistakes, feel like we kind of fucked up, perfectionist, and change things and go again.
Alrighty, day 3. We made it. It was really cold when we started and I busted this shit out. Yeah! It's still not a perfect face, but it's getting really damn good looking and I kind of like her weird vibe. It was super challenging. For me, this feels small, so it's sort of hard to kind of get the right details, and like to have a lip looking kind of wrong is the difference between like an atom-sized fucking paint stroke. So for some people it's really easy, but for me it's like way more difficult to paint that small. So yeah, it was really tough, but we did it, and we have our beautiful paintbrush wand. So stoked about that. It ended up looking really good. I've never painted a paintbrush before, so yeah, I'm enjoying the way that the drip marks are coming off and the way that I figured out how to sort of make the paint look like it's blending into the brush and make the brush look like a brush basically. Yeah, and we did the special little gold details on the jewelry and the belt, and blue detailing kind of around the sleeves and the cloak, and then I did it around some of the flowers too. I want to carry the blue throughout, and of course we now have, it's kind of quite subtle, I might want to make it a bit bigger, but the infinity symbol. This piece is definitely taking a lot longer than the other ones did, but you know, to be fair, there were a lot of more, you know, color changes in this one versus like say this one where the flowers are all sort of one color silhouette. These flowers have an added dual tone thing as well as the leaves do. And then I guess we're gonna do the magicianal tools of the trade tomorrow. Hopefully I can wrap this one up tomorrow. Yeah, what a fucking good and exhausting day in the studio. This was a full ass day. I'm gonna go have a snack and walk my dog. And we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Day fell.
Good morning, guys. I'm bundled the fuck up. It's really cold again. Super windy. But I got my heater going, and I think I might have made a mistake. And it's the paintbrush. No, how about this? You didn't make a mistake. You tried something and didn't like it, and now you can change it. So it's a part of the process. Ah! I was up at like 4 in the morning thinking about it and thinking about how like it's a little too on the nose and it's a little not esoteric enough. It looks cool. It's well rendered. Like, it's a neat thing. But just because it looks neat doesn't mean I have to keep it in the painting. I was like so stoked about it for a few days, and like it needs to be more like unusual and we don't know what's happening symbolism thing. You know, a little more unexpected. It's not working out. That also means that I have to repaint that area, so not really sure how that's gonna go. Let's try some things.
So it was goodbye paintbrush. I just went back over it with a bunch of different layers of white. And while I was letting that dry, I decided to work on the magicianal tools of the trade. So I chose to do a candlestick, which is sort of symbolic of light, a cup, which is kind of worth, value. Painted those in and did a flower, which is for growth. We have an arrow for wounds or action, a heart for, you know, heart center, that type of thing. And then I decided to do kind of a pentacle star coin and added like, I don't know what this is. Is it an egg? Is it a crystal ball with an eye in it? Now I'm just going over with the yellow paint there, and then I guess I later filled in.
It was like, here's a painting of a magician of creative painting by the painter who paints. You know, still thinking about what I want to do for that. But the other thing I was kind of considering is like, how do I want to take this from just a painter's adaptation of the magician card to real Enlightenment Barbie pizzazz? Like, what's gonna give it that extra spark, that extra spice? Not sure. I'm considering putting a halo behind her head because that always works. Then I was thinking about making it like a blue sun. Maybe? We shall see.
So I started painting the wand. I just went with some blue, made some shapes. And you know guys, this part after the wand was done was really where I started to get a little bit confused. I was trying to figure out what would it be that would set it off in the best way. I started to try and make stars, because I was like, yeah, magicians love stars. But then I was like, fuck, that's too on the nose too. So I ended up covering all of that stuff back up. We need to talk about this weird creative flow state. The more that I'm standing around thinking like what would make it more Enlightenment Barbie, or even like what would make it more magician-y, it just fails, it just doesn't work. Asking like what would make it better is totally a better question. And in addition to that, just deciding don't think, just do. Like just do it. Fucking Nike. It's aligning you more with sort of the spirit world and the flow and less about your thinking mind. That's why it works. Ultimately, there it is. I landed on just making the big silhouettes of flowers, filling in the background so it looked more full and not so blank. It ended up being the perfect fucking solution for the entire piece. I gave her this halo of flowers and extended some of these growing flowers from the bottom behind her and then also behind the wand. And yeah, this is how it ended up looking. We'll go into my critique in a minute, but reflections briefly on the process. I had been on Christmas break for like a week and a half or 2 weeks, and I definitely did need something that was sort of formulaic or like my interpretation of something to get me back into the flow state. And I think I'm there now. I think I've got it. I don't know if I'll do something exactly like this again, although I do like how it came out. We'll have to see. The next thing is definitely going to be much more freeform and not my interpretation of a tarot card, but more so me literally making it up as I go along. Nevertheless, let's see what I think of it. The beer critique.
Got my White Claw. I'm ready for the beer critique. Cheers. Yeah, like 2 sips in, I think it's pretty good actually. It just helps to get out of your own way sometimes, you know? Relax the mind just a little bit. What do I like about it? Well, it's pretty good. Yep, I think it's pretty good. I like that there is some subtlety in like the color of this and the color of the rest of the background because it is one of the colors of the background. I like the gold detailing. I like that I added the pizzazz on the eyes because, you know, you need a little power in there. I don't care that the wand is that color of blue, although I still might change it to green or just add green because whatever. A piece is never done. I like how I did these little items, the magical items. We've got a candle, which is sort of about like an inner light and like the light of the divine. We've got a cup, so, you know, traditional cups, but we also have a flower growing out of the cup. So I think there's gonna be like a suit of flowers in this deck. I have an eye in like a little egg or crystal ball maybe for like the third eye vision. Arrows, hearts, and I guess that's kind of a pentacle. It's a star, it's supposed to be a star, it doesn't really matter. I like the symbols. I like the little tiny infinity above her head. I like the fact that I didn't have to use a halo to give her some divinity. I finally thought of something kind of different, right? The single, you get a pretty good idea for the colors. I'm not mad at all about the blue. When you know, when you look at it as a whole, it's not like the colors are not really crazy like school bus colors, although they sort of come across like that on the camera. But I'll change that. No, I think it looks really nice. I think that framing it will definitely up my opinion of it. I don't hate it. I kind of really like it, actually. I think it's pretty good. Do I like it as much as her? No, but she's not her. She's the magician. She's, you know, a classic icon, just like her, but, you know, whatever. So, is there an in conclusion? I don't know. In conclusion, I think she's pretty cool. Yeah, can't wait to see her framed, and I guess that's it, guys. We did it. We made a fucking art piece in like 4 or 5 days. So congratulations. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. And stay tuned for the next video. We're gonna do some more cool shit in the next one. See you later. Have a beautiful day. Go in peace. Spread joy and keep being awesome. Mwah!
If you like this sort of content, make sure to subscribe.